Good morning and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we will be talking about how to deal with environmental and weather risks, and we will give you 3 examples of solutions to possible problems that could occur. The examples we'll be running through today will give confidence to optimize productivity while avoiding impacts to your operations. My name is Kristin Birta, and I work as a field marketing coordinator here in EMEA. And today I am accompanied by my colleague David Curry, which is one of our environmental solutions architects here at Envirosuite. David will be taking you all through how you can optimize your operations and manage your environmental impact while avoiding costly delays due to environmental and weather risks. Should you have any questions coming to mind during this webinar, feel free to type them in the chat function, and we will go through as many as we can at the end of the session. Should we not have time to address all the questions we get through, one of our representatives will get in contact with you as soon as possible after the webinar. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Kristin. And again, everybody, thank you for joining us today. As Kristin mentioned, we're going to take a quick look at 3 examples of how Envirosuite solutions can help you confidently monitor and plan your operations, knowing that as conditions change, a continuous monitoring program in combination with artificial intelligence will help you to react and adapt your operations in real time. So, we are, with decades of knowledge, along with hundreds of customers globally, Envirosuite is a global leader in environmental intelligence, using proprietary data and real-time localized data to help industries and communities thrive. Founded in Australia, Envirosuite now spans more than 15 countries and is a trusted partner to the world's leading operators in airports, cities, construction, mining, heavy industry, waste and water, helping owners and operators and administrators to realize the full potential of their assets through the power of environmental intelligence. We believe that environmental intelligence has the power to transform your operations and help your site reach its full optimized potential. Through a unique combination of science and technology, Envirosuite delivers scalable solutions to address operational environmental challenges, making the world a better place. But before we go any further, I just want to take a few seconds to talk about what environmental intelligence is. In the simplest terms, it's easy to understand. We take the environmental data, which you're measuring using real-time sensors located around your operations to monitor the local vibration, noise, water, weather, dust, air quality, and in some cases, flight tracking radar data into one of our cloud solutions for analysis. Once the data is available in the Envirosuite cloud, we harness the power of technology and science, and using proven data algorithms from our decades of experience in scientific excellence, combined with machine learning and artificial intelligence, we can build a detailed understanding of what your local environmental landscape looks like. And then finally, once we've got all this big data in the cloud, we use real-time continuous monitoring to provide, alongside our predictive modeling, to provide you with quality data insights that you can trust in parallel with automated compliance reporting, providing you with a complete situational awareness of how your organization's operations impact the environment and also the surrounding community. And therefore, it's giving you the environmental intelligence you need to make critical operational decisions and help you optimize and grow as a business, but still at the same time managing the impact that you have on the community around you. In November 2020, Frost and Sullivan released a new report called Driving Growth in a Changing Climate. The report explored global perceptions about environmental management, the parameters that are most critical to business, and how different sectors plan to unlock business value from environmental intelligence both today and into the future. While performing this research into the report, Frost and Sullivan undertook a survey of 272 senior executives across various geographies and sectors from airports, cities, mining, construction, waste and wastewater sectors, as well as a range of industrial operations to try and find out how organizations are looking to move beyond mere compliance monitoring to the proactive application of environmental intelligence to help facilitate growth. And actually, some of the results were quite interesting. The survey found that there are key environmental areas where organisations' operations are impacting communities today. Some of these areas included air quality and dust, water, vibration, noise, and of course, odour. And each of these metrics are good indicators on how your operations are affecting the environment where you're based and therefore affecting the local community. And while you can monitor these to understand what the impact is, you can't only use this environmental information to optimize your operations, because there is one more thing that you do not have control of. And of course, that is weather. Weather is an important variable that changes how each one of those metrics performs, and therefore will change the way communities are being impacted by your operations. Bad weather or adverse weather can amplify the sensitivity of a community to your operations in a negative way. And while weather patterns can actually assist in minimizing this impact to the community, understanding when this is occurring can really help you get the most out of your business. On days when weather is favorable for your business, there's an opportunity to actually increase your output. But if you're not taking advantage of monitoring the environmental conditions and the impact weather forecast is having on them, how can you actually plan your operations with confidence for the next few days? While it's common practice to monitor at least one or more of these environmental concerns for compliance reasons, only 11% of the respondents actually show they were using digital tools across 4 or more of these environmental areas to help them optimize their operations. Environmental management was viewed as critical from a compliance and a cost of doing business perspective, but there's an increased acknowledgement in this role in actually helping enable growth. Because of course, optimizing those processes while thinking about the environment is good for the planet. And what we found in the report also is more than 50% of the respondents mentioned that they had experienced a dramatic and significant impact on the organization on account of an environmental factor in the last 3 years, making environmental intelligence more important from a production point of view than ever before. So a big question is, how do you feel about where your organization sits in these statistics? Are you one of the 11%, or are you currently in that 89% of operators who's not fully realizing your operations potential by managing your environmental impact to its fullest? So let's have a look at the 3 examples of solutions that will give you confidence to optimize your productivity and avoid any costly impacts. The first thing we'll look at is simulating the operation control activities to plan ahead. Then we are going to go and investigate diagnosing air quality, dust, and odor in real time and how we can use that. And lastly, we're going to talk about how you can reduce the time you spend investigating complaints that may come in from the community that impact your organization, and spend more time focusing on your core business. As previously mentioned, weather can introduce significant impact on an operation, causing delays, unplanned stoppage, and even in some cases, significant damage to assets. But it can also have an impact on environmental areas such as dust, odor, and water. And with that impact, it can carry those emissions to the community and contaminate your operational sites. So how can you go about planning for what weather Mother Nature is going to send us? As one of the leading environmental impacts on operations, weather can be seen as a huge problem for some organizations. And knowing what the local weather is going to be up to 48 hours in advance of the current time can allow organizations to accurately plan ahead before that time comes along, and make sure that you do have the appropriate assets available on site in time to help combat any of these weather conditions. Having the weather forecast available to you allows you to optimize your operations, but still keep maintaining the environmental impact at a level that is manageable to you, and hence keep that community happy around you. Through the use of proven scientific models and predictive algorithms, along with forecasted weather data, you can understand in advance what times for the coming days the impact from the operations can have an adverse effect to the health and safety of your employees, or even predict the impact to the local community through the use of automated daily risk reports. By using our predictive modeling technologies, you can also simulate what-if scenarios to look at how weather will affect the operations if they are performed at any particular time. and see what impact those operations may have. By using our predictive technology, organizations can plan in advance either when to perform an operational task in order to minimize that impact the weather has, or to plan for those right assets to be available to help counteract or minimize any scenario that may be weather affected. It's also possible to model different scenarios, what if scenarios, to understand what the impact would be based on the forecasted weather data, and decide when the best point would be to actually perform the action, minimize any perceived risk. A good example of where practical use of the predictive capabilities can be seen at a large steel production plant in the UK, where the customer reviews a risk report at the beginning of each shift to evaluate what the risk is during their shift. The risk reports removes the need for guesswork and provides them with an accurate hour-by-hour estimate of the risk. And that allows them to plan to subsequently mobilize mitigation measures and apply appropriate controls only when necessary. And because they're only doing it when it's necessary, they're optimizing the resources required to lessen the risk. Of course, being able to simulate activities and also look into the weather forecast gives you a great idea of what's going to happen in the near future. It doesn't necessarily help you with what's happening now due to changes in the weather that you didn't really see coming along. By using a network of sensors around your operational facility, Envirosuite's cloud solutions can diagnose air quality, noise, vibration, dust, and odor issues before they become a problem by using real-time monitoring in combination with alerts that will notify you when the on-site conditions have reached an elevated measurements above a predefined compliance level. These changes can be due to weather conditions changing on site, or it could also be to some leakage because of one of your assets has failed. These alerts can help you maintain your compliance levels and not put your operating license at risk. Our cloud solutions, along with hyper-local weather data, will help you understand what caused the monitor levels to rise, and it'll actually send you alerts either to email or SMS and indicate where the issue may have come from and speed up your investigation. And that'll allow you to promptly take action before it becomes a serious operational issue. A good example of where we've seen this being used is at a wastewater facility. The clever visualization of the threshold triggers, we have green, amber, red, enables the operators there to understand when an event is happening before it reaches its peak and becomes a major incident. Alerts can be actually set up on a case-by-case basis and can include several conditions. For example, if the wind direction is coming from a specific direction and the threshold exceedance is measured continuously for more than 15 minutes, then inform the operator so that they can actually take action. And this would allow the alerts to be tailored to site-specific management plans and unique meteorological conditions that are encountered in your area that would impact your local communities. When these alert conditions are met, a second trigger on the display shows what we call an arc of influence. And that's activated to show, using the meteorological conditions, what the actual location of the odor or dust that caused the exceedance, where it may have come from, so you can focus your investigation in a much faster method. And this tool is unique to the Envirosuite platform, providing you that real-time on-site source identification. With rapidly expanded global population, there is an increased proximity of communities to facilities operations and infrastructure, which can create a negative impact. By proactively understanding where your operations are potentially causing this effect on the community, being able to take prompt action to minimize the cause shows true community leadership and can give visibility in being a responsible operator in your community. So how can you be sure that the actual impact is coming from you and not other sources? It is a fact that people in the community are concerned with the day-to-day quality of life. The perception of quality of life is different for every person in any community. What one person might consider to be okay, the next person might consider actually to be harmful to their health. And when communities get closer to the operations or industries due to urban expansion, there's a high chance of community intolerance, which is generally shown by people raising concerns to the operation, local government, or even worse, they could just start taking a stand on social media, which of course will damage your reputation. You simply can't continue operating ignoring community concerns anymore. There have been countless cases around the world where the community intolerance was so high, the local government has stopped the operations to either investigate or to alleviate the problems caused by the organisation, which has led to millions in lost revenue or even fines due to a failure of the organisation to address the environmental issues. So what do you do if your operation is next to a neighbouring company, or you're not sure what the cause of such a complaint is? Well, Envirosuite's environmental intelligence will help you reduce the time required to diagnose those incidents and community concerns by telling you if your operations are at fault. By using our automated reverse trajectories, we establish where the actual source of a problem may have originated from, and to help you understand where it's coming from your operation or not. And in the event where you might have an on-site incident, forward trajectories can help predict any potential community impact before it occurs, and allows you again to respond promptly and perhaps notify the right people. A good example of using the reverse trajectory modeling at a steel facility has provided an invaluable tool to validate the trueness of dust or odor complaints that have been reported by the community. By being able to accurately identify where the source of the emission was, it aided the site operations in developing mitigation methods, which may involve a review of their operational methods or asset investigations. Another tool has been effectively utilized at the steel facilities was the forward modeling prediction, where we quickly identify the impact of an unplanned emission with the local community and provided a unique window into opportunity for them to actually go and notify medical facilities of the incident, local communities and schools, so that they can actually be aware it's going to happen. So there we have three simple examples of solutions that give you confidence that you can optimize your productivity while also avoiding any costly environmental impacts. As a thank you for joining us today on this small webinar, you'll notice that there's a quick guide that you can download in the GoToWebinar interface there, and to give you something to think about with regards to how your organization deals with environmental conditions. I want to leave you with some final thoughts. We've talked about how you can use monitoring data along with forecast weather to get the best out of your operations. And we at Envirosuite build our tools to allow you to optimize your operations. So the question to you is, how many of you are actually taking advantage of this? How many are actually able to optimize what you're doing based on what the weather forecast is with confidence that's actually going to be right? Communities today are much more responsive than they used to be in older days, and they're much more invested in their environmental issues in their neighborhood. And of course, this translates into them wanting to see businesses being green with their operations. And where the businesses are not operating or not appearing to be doing the best they can, then social media can amplify people's concerns, which can result in damage to your reputation. It's not really something you can actually hide from anymore. So what are you doing about it as a business? Are you working as optimally as you can? Thank you. I'll hand over to Kristen again.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. Let's take a look at some of the questions that we have gotten through. So the first question is, do we need to use sensors supplied by you, or can we use sensors that we already have installed to use your systems?
Okay, we do have sensors in Envirosuite that if you don't have any, we can help you deploy. But one of the things which we are quite proud of is the fact that our systems are sensor agnostic. So if you already have a network of sensors out there that are providing you with environmental data, as long as we can get that data into our system, either using FTP or API, then we can implement the data that you already have into our system to give you that environmental intelligence.
Great. Second question we can cover is, how do you actually create a risk report?
So the risk reports are something that when you take on an Envirosuite solution, our environmental intelligence services experts will talk to you about what meteorological conditions actually affect your operations today. Because every single operation is different, and your layout, be it whether it's terrain, be it where the local communities are, they all have a different impact. So it's something that we engage with you early on to actually understand what conditions actually will cause an impact to your site. And once we understand that, we will build in the intelligence into our system so that when it's doing the weather forecasting, it can actually give you the risk report based on what the weather conditions are going to be and how likely it is going to be actually affecting the community around you, or whatever the risk is that you want to be aware of. So it's something we work on a case-by-case basis, and it does mean that we have to work with each and every one of you to get it right each time.
And then we have a question here that says, do you take into account the local terrain and building heights in the models?
Yeah, that's a good question, that one. Yes, we do. The models we use, the first model that we use is called the Weather Research and Forecast model. And that provides us with the wind in 3 dimensions of what it's going to be doing in your local area. We then push that into the CalMet model, which actually takes into consideration terrain information and land use information. So that will tell us if there are buildings in the area, if there are hills or valleys in your local area. And from that, we are able to model using that data. And then if you have the dispersion models as well, then we use the CalPuff model for dispersion, which takes that export from the CalMet. So all that terrain data is used quite significantly in all our models.
All right, I think we will wrap it up here. So I want to say thank you all for joining in on today's webinar. We appreciate that you took the time to attend. In the coming days, we will send you an email with a recording of this webinar if you found out that you want to share this with a colleague, and we will include our handout in this email as well. So thank you again for attending, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.